Hi, boys and girls. It's the Rev John. Do you remember me? And do you remember where I am? Of course you do. And I'm in the church, Cadder Church, your church. I'm missing you, and I hope to see you soon, once we can all get back to church again. Sometimes I like to go for long walks up the hill, and I get very thirsty. And what I do is, I take water with me, and I have a drink of water, and that makes me feel better, stronger. The word is, refreshes me, and sometimes we need to be refreshed. Sometimes we get refreshed by reading stories and by reading books. I hope you like reading. It's very important. Jesus told many wonderful stories. Stories that have lasted for a long time. But many people down through the ages have told wonderful stories with great meaning to them. Stories that Jesus would have loved, and Jesus may have told similar ones to the boys and girls of his day. I want to tell you one now, written by a very special man called Hans Christian Andersen, who was from Denmark. He was brought up in a little town where I once stayed called Odense. Beautiful town. And if you ever go to Denmark, there's a house there called the Hans Christian Andersen House that you can go and visit. Well worth a visit. Well, let's listen to the story now. The Ugly Duckling, a story by Hans Christian Andersen. So boys and girls, let us read the story now. And it begins in the farmyard, in the countryside. By a cool pond near a little farm, a mother duck sat on her nest of eggs. Suddenly, the eggs began to hatch. Cute little yellow ducklings hopped out of their eggshells. Cheep, cheep, quack, quack, they went, flapping their tiny wings. Boys and girls, have you ever seen little ducklings? Before long, there was just one egg left in the nest, and it was bigger than the rest. At last it began to crack. What do you think it is? A big, fluffy shape appeared. What an ugly duckling, said one of the little ducklings. Honk, honk, went the ugly duckling. It can't quack, laughed another yellow duckling. And they laughed even harder when the clumsy duckling tripped and fell over its feet. Was that nice? No. One by one, the baby ducks splashed into the water. Behind their mother, the ugly duckling swam at the back. The mother duck loved each and every one of her ducklings, including the big, fluffy one at the end. What do you think the big, fluffy duckling is, boys and girls? Have you got any idea? The mother duck took her brood up to the farmyard. The animals adored the cute little ducklings, but they didn't like the big, fluffy one. Oh dear. They pecked and nipped him. You're ugly, they cried. The duckling was so upset, he ran away as fast as he could. Isn't that sad? He came to a cottage where a cat and a hen lived with an old woman. Purr like me, you can stay, said the cat. You can stay if you lay eggs, said the hen. The duckling couldn't purr or lay eggs, so he left the cottage sad. Are you enjoying the story? I am. The duckling felt very lonely. Autumn arrived, and one evening he saw graceful white birds flying high above. He longed to be like them. Wow, look at them. But as the weather grew cold, the waters froze. Soon the ugly duckling was still fast in ice. Look at his beak. He's frozen. A kind man rescued the shivering duckling and took him home to show his children. And the children wanted to play and chase the duckling. He was so frightened that he toppled the milk bucket and fled back outside into the snow. Oh dear. It was a long, hard winter. For the poor duckling, the freezing days and nights seemed to last forever. Then one day the sun began to shine. Warm sunbeams melted the ice. Wow, springtime's coming. A lark began to sing because spring had come. The ugly duckling noticed 3 beautiful birds had landed on the water. They were the same ones he had seen in the autumn. Aren't they beautiful? He felt sure the birds would be mean, but he was not afraid anymore. What do you think happens next? The ugly duckling did not fly away when the birds spotted him hiding in the bulrushes. To his surprise, they were friendly and welcoming. Are they beautiful birds? Does anybody know what kind of birds they are? They're not ducks, are they? Maybe if you've been down at the canal, you'll have seen birds like those. He swam out from his hiding place and looked at his reflection in the water. He had changed. He was no longer an ugly duckling, but a brave and magnificent swan. Wow, what a change! The older swans bowed their heads to their new friend. He rustled his feathers and curved his slender neck. He was filled with joy when the children pointed out and cried out, "Look at the lovely new swan." Wow. In a flurry of wings, the young swan flew off with his new flock. He had never dreamed of such happiness when he was an ugly duckling and knew he would never be lonely again. The end. Do you think the ducklings and the farm animals are kind to the ugly duckling at the beginning? I don't think so. They were making fun of him and didn't accept him. That wasn't a very nice thing to do, was it, boys and girls? I hope you're nice to your friends. Why do you think they behave in the way they do? It was because, wasn't it, that the ugly duckling, as they called it, was different. He was bigger, he was clumsy, he wasn't like them, and so they made fun of him. That's not a nice thing to do, to make fun of people who are different than us. We should love them and treat them with the most respect. If you met the ugly duckling, how would you treat him? I know you'd treat him kindly, wouldn't you? You would admire him and love the ugly duckling for who he is. It's really important that we're kind to each other, boys and girls, especially during this most difficult time when you haven't been at school, haven't been to church, when you've maybe been in your house a lot more than you used to be. It's important to be kind to each other. How does the duckling react when the children try to play with him? He was frightened, wasn't he? Because he didn't understand. He wasn't used to being in a house. He knocked over the milk jug, do you remember? And he ran out the door. Then the ugly duckling changes, because the ugly duckling wasn't really ugly at all. He was something very, very special. He was a swan, a beautiful bird, but he had to grow into being this beautiful swan. And do you think he is happy at the end of the story? I think he was very happy. Why? Because he had met up with other swans. He found a family that he could trust and fly away with. It's a great story. I hope it refreshes you of how the ugly duckling became the most beautiful swan. And you know, boys and girls, that's what Jesus does for us also. He changes us. Sometimes we might feel not very clever, not very good, but when we trust in God and follow Jesus and live in his way, then we change and we become more like him. But that takes time, and it's a journey, and we're all in the journey. Well, boys and girls, thanks for listening, and I hope you stay well, and I really look forward to seeing you all very soon again. Bye for now.